Welcome to Skills to Pay the Bills and today's segment of ShirleyLouFinance.com. I am Tia Young, your host, filling in for Dr. Shirley Lou, CEO of Shirley Lou Finance, LLC. My guest today is an international conference speaker, spiritual life coach, award-winning entrepreneur, and author of the celebrated book, Rising Above Adversity: How to Determine What You Want and Then Execute a Plan to Get It. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Emily Soroko to ShirleyLouFinance.com. Dr. Emily, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today.
Well, I'm so grateful that you were able to take some time away. I know you've got a lot going on, and for you to take the time to come here, I'm grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. We are very busy planning a summit, but yes, it's really nice to be here today.
Okay, so we're going to get started. We got a lot to talk about.
Right, yes.
You have lived in several different countries in beautiful Africa. Mm-hmm. Tell us about some of your ventures, from the award-winning jewelry designs that you did and directing and producing fashion shows. I think that's so exciting.
Yes, it is. So I'm originally from the beautiful nation of Kenya. Uh-huh. I was born and raised in Nairobi, so I'm a city girl. Which is so exciting. But I've been able to travel out of Kenya and live in different countries. I lived in Zambia, Madagascar, and now I live in the United States. While in Kenya, I was a small business owner. I want to say a small woman business owner, which is what I was. And so I started off by doing jewelry, collecting different kinds of jewelry from different artists, mm-hmm. and remodeling it, changing it, and then attending shows in Nairobi. Mm-hmm. And one time I attended an exhibition that was national for the entire country, and that's where I got the award winning. I was the top-notch jewelry designer in the country.
Dr. Emily, what kinds of materials did you use for your jewelry?
So we promote local business owners, and so we tried to use the local materials. Mm-hmm. So they're really, some of them were even seeds.
Seeds, I mean, I think that's neat.
Yeah, seeds and beads, and we mixed them and they will look so beautiful. Actually, before I started the business, I saw the jewelry myself and I would buy it and change it and wear it, and people would buy it off my neck.
Oh, wow.
And then I realized, hey, there's a market for this stuff.
Yes,
so that's when I started working with the producers to design for the expatriate community in the country, because if you can sell to the expats, it means you can enter the international market.
Wow.
And so after I started doing that, that's when I attended the shows to really see what my product looked like. Okay. And lo and behold, I was the #1 artist in the country.
Isn't that something? That's amazing.
Yes, it is.
So tell us about the transition from Africa to America, and how long have you been here in America?
Yes, so I stayed in Zambia for a couple of years, and then Madagascar, and then I came here, and it's been like 14 years now.
You've been here 14 years?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
okay, good.
I know all the, not
right.
everything, but
yes.
I'm pretty much familiar with things here.
Mm-hmm. And you're very involved in the ministry, I understand.
Yes, I am. I do the Jamii International Outreach Ministry, which supports orphans and widows and widowers in my native country, Kenya. And we started this also like 14 years, just after we arrived here.
Wow.
So we go back and impact the lives of very poor children. I mean, we go to the poorest of the poor, where other people don't want to go.
Right.
Yeah, and these kids, they are so brilliant, they're so smart.
When you talk about the poorest of the poor, I think some people don't understand what you mean when you say that. When you talk about the poorest of the poor, what kind of situation are these children and their families in?
Oh, these are children who don't have any clothes to wear, have no shoes to wear.
So they're completely naked.
Sometimes no food. So basically we provide #1 food, clothing, and then education, and housing. So we have, that's the order of operation.
And you've been doing that for 14 years
Yes,
on
yes,
that.
yes.
Well, I know that you've always had a heart for empowering women and children. And that's one way that you do that in your home country. What about here in America? Do you follow that here as well? Or is your giving mostly to Kenya?
Well, it all started the seed was laid in Kenya, and it has blossomed and grown. My first women empowerment seminar was in Kenya, and I didn't know that it was a women's seminar. I just called women and I said, let's talk about what's going on.
And so what was that? What did you talk about?
We talked about why don't we have the money to pay bills and send the children to school, pay rent? What's the reason? And the reason they couldn't find jobs and stuff like that. So what we started is we started income generating projects where we asked the government to give them a little land and they could plant trees and sell them. Some of them did boutiques. I went out to the donor community and accessed finance for the women. I tried to access markets for them. But back in Kenya, I didn't know that was women empowerment. I was just doing something from my heart to try and change the situation. One of the things that I did that was very impactful was we started something they do in Africa, and they probably do it here in America, which is you find 12 women, and every month we say we'll give you, Tia, all of us collectively, $1,000. Everybody gives a certain amount of money, and collectively we give it to you like a microfinance. That's what you call it here in America.
Well, I have heard, I've heard about that. In fact, I did that once here in America. It worked a little differently than it does in Africa. Because I ended up giving, it wasn't $1,000, I think it was something like $800. And you know, that's what, and this has been 20 some years ago. And when I realized what was happening, I was the only person that was giving, so it didn't work. It didn't work here. But no, that is something that I know a lot of cultures have done to help each other out.
In Africa, it worked very well. And what happened when the person got, I'm just using $1,000 as a number.
Just a number.
Yeah, the person who received that money was able to buy tomatoes, potatoes, whatever, and start a small business. And you know, after 6 months, that business grows. So a lot of the 12 women were pulled out of poverty.
Isn't that something? Were they single women? Were their
Single
husbands
mothers,
that died, or they didn't?
Yeah. So
okay, so this was a single woman.
Yeah.
So did she give back? Did she, once she got on her feet, did she give back to other women?
She continued, being in the circle. And the thing is, they also went to each other's houses. So the environment in the house was better. The quality of life in these women's life really improved. And so we were able to use them to spread and do the same thing in different parts of the country. Then I came to America, and the same thing followed me here. And I always look at women and like, how can we have a better life? What can we do to improve our lives? And of course here the challenges may be a little different than in Africa. But we did our first women gathering here 5 years ago in a basement, in my friend's basement. And we gathered and we talked and we ate and we empowered each other. And from then onwards, we've gone up to where we are today.
Now the fashion design, that was something a little different than, I'm thinking that's with clothing. Were you designing clothes, or what were you doing with the fashion design?
And I did not design the clothes, but again, it's the women empowerment. It follows me around. I can't get away from it. So I found all these women tailors in Lusaka, Zambia, on the streets. They were making such beautiful
And this was in Zambia?
Yeah, in Zambia. They were making such beautiful clothes. And so I was like, what if we up this game? So I told them I'll bring them magazines from America, JCPenney, and they could copy the clothes and make them, and we can sell them to expatriates. And that worked wonderfully. And their income increased. And so after that, the next thing was a fashion show, right? And so we did a really nice fashion show 2 times. And we raised money to help orphans. See, for me, I always do women and children. And I wasn't even conscious of it.
Well, you know, the next time you come on the show, you're going to have to bring some of the photos so that we can show our viewers your jewelry as well as some of the fashions that you did. Now, you are co-founder of, and make sure I'm pronouncing this right, is it Jamii?
Jamii.
Jamii International Outreach Ministries. Tell us a little bit more about this ministry. Did this start in Kenya or did it start here in America?
Yeah, so it seems like everything started back in Kenya.
It started back in Kenya.
We always start in Kenya and see how we do there, then we branch out.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
so it started in Kenya about 14 years ago.
Okay.
Again, in the very, very poor places, poorest of the poor, in a slum called Kibera. If I had known, I would show it on the screen. It's a place of hopelessness.
So is a slum area in Africa like the slum areas here, or are they worse?
Very different.
They're very different.
Yeah.
In what way?
I mean, they are little houses, very small houses, and everybody lives there. The whole family, they cook there, they live there.
Do everything.
Yeah, and so the issue is their financial status. They can't even put food on their table. Send their kids to school or even clothe them, and most of these would be orphans. Some of them don't have a mother and a father. So the situation,
they're raising themselves.
They're raising themselves, and most of the times the elder child becomes the parent.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult situation.
That's difficult.
And so the reason we started Jamii is because most of our friends that we went to school with got infected with HIV/AIDS. And coming from America to go visit your friends, and you found that their kids are hungry, just walking around was devastating. So it was either I'm going to watch this and walk away and pretend I didn't see it, or I'm going to step in and do something.
And what did you do?
We chose to do something, collect the villagers and tell them, guys, if you can work collectively as a team, you can be able to help these children. Yes. We don't need help coming from America, although you do, but you can begin to do something. Like the women can give the vegetables, they can look for something to eat, at least put something in their stomach.
Right.
So we started that, but now it has grown into a big thing. We have 3 centers where we feed
You've got
children.
medical attention.
Yeah, we have now medical doctors every August going to Kenya. We have missionaries going to Kenya every August.
That's wonderful.
So we got some help.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so Jamii is doing well.
From the chief helper.
From the chief helper. The chief helper had to come in first, and then the other help come. Yeah, so we are grateful. We have kids all the way now to college.
Wow.
Our first kids from 14 years ago are now chaplains in their own little churches.
I want to talk more about the college. We're going to take a short break. We're going to take a short station break, and we will return after these important messages. Don't touch that dial.
I want to leave him, but I just can't do that to the kids.
I keep finding her chatting with this guy online. Even though she says they're friends, something's up.
He tells me it's no big deal, but it hurts so bad when I catch him looking at those pictures.
Stand strong. No matter what you're going through, there is hope at the end of the line.
Focus on the family. How can we help?
Welcome back. You're watching Skills to Pay the Bills and today's segment of Shirley Lou Finance with your host, me, Tia Young, filling in for Dr. Lou, and my special guest, Dr. Emily Soroko, founder of Crown Women Rising. Before the break, you had started to talk about the children that were in college that had gone. You had helped them, and they're now in college. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so when we started helping them, they were maybe in high school, and we sourced funding for them to go through high school and into college. So we have a few of them graduating soon,
that's wonderful.
and they just want to go back and help. It's just amazing when you ask them, what do you want to do now?
Right.
And they're like, you helped us, so we've got to go back into the community and help somebody. So that really touches us, our hearts.
I wanted to also talk a little bit about, I understand that you just recently founded Crown Women Rising. That's a unique title. How did you come up with that name, and tell us about Crown Women Rising?
Yeah, so we love the title Crown Women Rising. Somebody was asking, is it copyrighted? Yes, it is.
Good. Good for you.
And so Crown Women Rising is just really about women who are coming to us and they want to rise. They want to change their situation. They want to change their economic situation. They want to change their family situation for the better. And so when we do our summits, we have exactly those tools. We do workshops that help women with wealth building, improving their finances. We have a session called I Lead for women who want to be leaders in corporate America or corporate wherever they are. And we also do I Lead for women of faith, women who want to increase their knowledge of faith. And we do building relationships, intimacy, all those things that are, all those elements that are very important to women. So we have a whole day of workshops for that. But our future is we're going to do more workshops to really give women the tools that they need to excel and fulfill their destiny.
Right. And so, so your funding, are you getting grants or free will offerings that people give? How do you fund? How are you able to fund what you do?
Yeah, so we are still very young, and right now we sell tickets to get people to come to us. We are looking for sponsorship, and eventually we are going to get to a place where we can source grants. But we have a few people here and there sponsoring our events, and we are able to pay for our events right now, but our future goal is to get grants, and Crown Women Rising is global. We want to go to India, we want to go to Vietnam.
Right now we're just here in the United States, or is it United States in Kenya? Or?
Right now we are just doing those countries, but we want to branch out.
We want to branch out,
Yeah, we want to branch out, and next year, by God's grace, be able to go out into other nations.
Yes. I want to go back to rising above adversity, how to determine what you want, and then execute a plan to get it. Tell me a little bit about this book. How did you come about putting this together? And what is this primary message?
Yeah, so I had so much experience moving countries, living in different countries, personal life challenges, and I thought they were interesting. And for a couple of years, I wanted to write a book about all these experiences. And like everybody wants to write a book, but to sit down and actually write it is another story. So I was just Googling, and I saw this person who was a publishing coach, and I said, "Hey, can you help me? I want to write a book." And he said, "Sure." And so he mentored me, and I wrote the book. But the story behind the book is just experiences of rising above adversity. The message is that no matter the challenges, you can rise above the challenges. The challenges are not meant to kill you. They are meant to make you better.
And stronger.
And stronger. And it's just like when a plane takes off in the air. When it takes off, it's already gone. It may experience some problems in the air, a little shaking or whatever, but it's moving higher and higher into greater heights. And so my message is, don't just sit and do nothing because of fear or because of whatever the reason is, but begin to do something, because when you begin to do that thing, you may not get the end result that you're looking for, but you're making progress. So always be on the progress path. Don't be stagnant.
How has your faith helped you to endure? Because some of the things that you have said are kind of heart-wrenching, you know, to go into an area and see little children running around naked. I mean, I've lived in cities parts of the town that had poverty, but I can truly say I've never seen a child, you know, just walking or running about completely naked. So that's kind of heart-wrenching, and some of the things that you said about the women and what they have gone through. How has your faith helped you to stand in the fight?
I think without faith, I couldn't do any of this. So when you believe in God and you believe His word, what He says, then it's easy to make manifest the word. Because He says in His word, nothing shall be impossible with God. So even the little kids who are out there not having something to eat is temporary. It's not gonna always be like that, especially when God has given us the ability to intervene and do something. They are all created for greatness. And that's where the faith comes in. When you see that child, you know that that environment does not describe who they are going to become when they grow up. Some of them may become presidents, some of them may become medical doctors or policemen. I usually ask those kids, when you grow up, what do you want to become? Yes. Another one said, I want to be a policeman because there's a bad man living next to my house. I want to arrest him. Another one says, I want to be a nurse because I saw a woman giving birth and they had no help. See, they already have dreams. And we've got to just go out there and help nurture those dreams, because they will become real. Yes. And so faith tells us not to see things, we see things as though they are today, but they'll be different, they'll be transformed. And also we teach these kids the Word of God.
That's very good.
And we don't just give them all this material thing, but we give them something that will carry them beyond their situations today. We give them hope. They must dream and see themselves beyond the situation. And I grew up in similar situations. So I'm able to tell them, if I could get out of this situation, you can too. This is temporary. God has greatness.
Just brought up something that I was going to ask you about, because so many times when you're walking with God, if you haven't walked a mile in somebody else's shoes, to know what it's like not to have, or what, sometimes it's hard to fathom, you know, what are they talking about? So you have walked a mile in some of the shoes, so you know firsthand, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was that one little poor child one time.
Yes.
And
somebody reached out to help you.
Somebody reached out and telling the kids to believe in themselves and to believe in God. God is able to change any situation if we allow Him into the situation. He makes it all new. He makes
you just
all
said
things
something
new.
really important. If we allow Him in, that's very key there.
Yes.
Now you have a new book coming out this fall entitled "Sweet Woman, Crowned by the King." What is the concept of this book?
So this book was also birthed in a town in Kenya. I was talking to women, and they just seemed to carry so much bitterness. They were so angry at what life has thrown at them, and we don't blame them. Sometimes life can be hard, and we are human, and you can be angry, but they seem to have so much anger, so much bitterness, and they all want to get out of the situation they are. They want to find a husband. So I was like, you know, we need to get rid of the bitterness. I know it's not easy, but we have to work on ourselves. And so I said, hey, what if you became a sweet woman?
Instead of being a bitter woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you choose to be bitter, sweet, and you smile at life, even if it throws stuff, wash it off and wake up, be happy, smile, be hopeful, know that tomorrow will be a better day, and just be sweet. That way you attract things.
When you say bitter, do they go into details about what they are bitter about?
Yeah.
And does part of that bitterness, is there some level of responsibility that they maybe must take as well?
Definitely. Bitterness in the form of somebody, they were engaged to somebody, they ditched them, they had a job, they got fired, all those, things that life throws at you that make you angry.
Right.
Or they don't get along with somebody, and it's piles of it.
Yeah.
You know, there is no forgiveness, so everything is blocked, and that creates the bitterness.
Right.
And so we are teaching them to let go.
To let go and let God.
Yeah, let go and let God, and let that bitterness be flushed out, so that you may get a new flow of sweetness.
Right.
Yeah. And
as you're speaking of that, I'm thinking of some of the older women as they get old, and it's really sad to see an older woman who has lived life and they're in their 70s or 80 and they're so bitter and so mean, spirited, and it's life that has done that to them. But sometimes in there's maybe some things that they could have done differently that they didn't do, and they, not taking full responsibility of that.
So they will
bitterness.
they will end up with a life regretted. I wish I did this. I wish I could have, should have. But we are encouraging women to correct that as they go.
Right.
So that they're able to rise.
Right.
Yes.
So are you doing anything special with the young girls, I'll say from 7 to probably 18 years old? Is there any special training that they're getting so their lives will be different than their mothers?
So we start from the age you mentioned, and then 18 to 25. We call them the Young Women Rising.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, we teach them the basic skills. We tell them stories of successful women.
Right.
One of our favorite Bible stories is Queen Esther.
Yes.
And Purim is coming up.
Yes.
You know what Purim is?
Right.
Yeah, they celebrate it, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
And what they do, they gather all the little young girls and talk to them about the queen who changed the nation.
The nation, right?
Yeah. And so we are big on teaching courage.
That's good.
Courage is one of the most important virtues.
And on that note of courage, I think that's a good note. We are going to end. We're just about out of time.
Okay.
I want to thank you so much for coming, and you're invited back anytime because you have a lot to share.
Oh, thank you so
very
much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We hope that you have enjoyed meeting our special guest, Dr. Emily Soroko, and about all the celebrated things that she has done in her life and in the lives of others. Thank you for watching Skills to Pay the Bills and today's segment of ShirleyLouFinance.com. See you next week. Bye-bye.